Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Prowess Live on these Wednesday shows where we kick things off talking about all things online business manager. Today is a great topic. I think it's one on all of our minds all the time is how do we make our email work? When we spend time on it, when we're doing that outreach, how do we make it work in a way that feels like us and we know that we're driving value? So I want to kick things off with a question in our chat as we always do. What's the one word that comes to mind when you're thinking about writing those emails? Is it joy? Is it dread? I have no idea. What comes to mind when you start thinking about that, when you know you've got to get those emails out there? Throw those questions in the chat. For anybody who's new here today, I'm Leah Steinkirk with Prowess Project. I sit in the COO role, started out as an OBM, and now have been helping with training, coaching, working with Ashley Connell, our CEO and founder, to then help match those OBMs up with clients that are looking for their ideal OBM. So we have a great guest for you guys today. Shannon Hernandez is back with us talking about she is a messaging and marketing strategist, founder of Joyful Business Revolutions, and she is going to be leading us through this idea of what is a way to approach email that feels like it's in alignment but helps us get the most out of it. Welcome, Shannon.
Oh my God, email is my love language.
That I have never heard said before.
I'm
I
your
love
email
it.
gal.
Love it. I love it. Thank you for joining us again. You're back with us today. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us how you got here, got to where you are today.
Yes, I'd love to. Thanks for having me back. Hello, everyone. I am Shannon Hernandez. You can call me Shannon. I am the founder of Joyful Business Revolution, and we help people who have missions turn them into movements with email that creates belonging and community and kindness and love and compassion and a joy for what you do. Email is my love language, and I'm so happy to be here.
And I've seen your gift in action, so I feel like you are the perfect person to talk about all of this. Diving right in, you talk a lot about value-led messaging. Can you break that down for what that means for OBMs?
Absolutely. And by the way, thank you to all the OBMs who are OBMing and making our life a better place. Just want to say that first. So, values led messaging is really about aligning your content with your values and the value that you see in others. And we'll talk here for a minute value and value, right? So, values in terms of what you believe, who you're for, who you're not for, the kind of people you love to work with. And then the content leads with value, right? And there's been this big, like, I don't know, it's been going on for years. I've been in this leading businesses for 13 years with better content. And there's always like this things like, do you give them value or do you give them not value? Do you give them like a little bit of value or do you give it all away? Here's what I want to say to you all. As long as your heart and your intention is pure and you communicate authentically, you build trust with people. And that means if you're an email, maybe once a week would actually do you well. All right. Or one LinkedIn post a week. I'm not talking about bombarding people with content, but you're creating touch points of trust, touch points that foster belonging, help people understand who you are, who you're for, how you help. That is what values driven and values led messaging means to me.
So for our OBMs, would that look like them sharing their strategies, or would it be more them talking about who they'd want to serve? Like when it comes to that value piece.
Yeah, both and.
Okay.
Both
Okay.
and I'll give a example. So, OBM is a big umbrella, really, when we think about it. There's lots of skills, right, and expertise that people bring when they start, when they're an OBM. Some don't do what some others do, and that's okay. And so I think OBMs in particular have the greatest advantage here of really educating people about your specific skills as an OBM. Because I know on my own journey of finding an OBM, it's like VA, a virtual assistant. I'm not saying OBMs are like VAs. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying VAs specialize in things too, right? And so if people don't know what you specialize in. It's a cloudy messaging that you're giving out is, oh, I'm an OBM, right? So if you specialize in, well, Leah, what do you specialize in? I want to know what you specialize in.
Mine would be like automations and like mini AI solutions for people. Like that's
Okay.
what I love doing.
Okay, beautiful. So if you were an OBM, okay, and if you were looking for some clients or looking for some new places to speak or whatever, you could be talking very specifically about automations and why they're so important to us that have businesses with the level that we have, right? Or why our automations are working, or what to look for in like sticky automation situations, right?
Mm.
Where oh my gosh, this happened to me today. I told my one of my content people, I said, oh my god, I have to change the picture on this lead magnet, and I gotta like do all this stuff. And she's like, you also then are gonna have to change the sequence. And I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm changing the name, right? Like those are the things that you could be talking about, in addition to what are the specific AI, micro AI things that you love to do, right? And so the main thing I want everyone to hear today, no matter if you're an OBM or not, the smaller you speak in your content, the more people can hear you.
The more focus, the more laser.
Yes,
Yes, I love that.
laser focus the content.
And one thing that I've seen in in the work that you've helped us with here at Prowess, as well as like I get your emails, I get the ones from you, and you're very organic in the way that you do it, right? It doesn't feel formulaic. It doesn't feel like hook something, call to action, but it's all there.
Yeah.
Can you share insight that on how to make something? But I guess what I want you to do is give permission to be for people to be organic, because I think at the OBMs we get into templates and structured things. Where is that blending of those two things?
Permission granted with my marketing magic wand a client gave me. Permission
Love it.
granted. Okay, listen, here's the thing. I mean, I could say so much on this. I just got off a 5-city speaking tour. And the thing that I kept drilling home to people this time, which was just a month ago, I came home. You have the biggest advantage right now to stand out in inboxes on LinkedIn, in your personal communications, if you will not let AI do it for you. Because
Mhm.
what happened, everyone's just like throwing their stuff into AI and spitting it out. There is a case for AI in your messaging. That's a whole nother conversation we could have at another day. But what I'm going to say is probably what you love about mine, Leah, is it's relevant. It's resonant. You know, because you were on my email list, you are getting stories of me in Bali being trampled by this huge freaking Oga monster in the middle of the street because I had to capture the picture. But the story and the picture also tie into, hey, we have a workshop coming up April 28th on magnetic messaging. Do you want to learn to create stories and posts and emails like this, right? So there could be a formula, quote unquote formula, but people are going to know it. And especially if they like you and they're reading your stuff, and then all of a sudden you come in with this new formula or it doesn't feel natural. So, yes, I'm giving everyone permission to be your voice, reclaim your voice. I did a LinkedIn workshop in New York City a few weeks ago, and I literally said, bold is your new baseline, people. We need
Oh,
bold messaging. We need bold headlines. We need bold content that makes us say, wow, that person has an opinion. That person believes in what they're doing and what they're selling, because that's what the magnetic attraction is at the end of the day.
oh, I really love that. And what's coming to mind is for OBMs. This is my soapbox, is that we need to do a better job of bragging on what we can do for our clients. So if those emails are success stories, right? Like, because like you said in the beginning, a lot of people might not understand exactly what an OBM is. So put it in that framework. Like you're saying, make it really visual. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me talk for a moment about an OBM that I helped, um, their email communication, right? And it almost doubled the revenue. Okay. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to pay someone to help you with your messaging and help you with your marketing, of course you want to see like an increase from your efforts or a return on your efforts, right? So I was working with an OBM. She had not a silent, a solid client base. All right. But she wasn't seeing the revenue growth she wanted. She kind of had plateaued there, like she was stagnant, right? But she still had more space to take on a few more clients. And so she came and worked with me in the email marketing makeover. And we implemented an email strategy that was focused on nurturing the relationships of the people who already said, yes, I want to be on your email list. All right. Highlighting the core values that she valued in her clients. This is about that attraction of calling in the people that you actually want to spend time with every day in your business, right? And then also offering this high value, personalized content that's educational. This is what I can help you with, and this is the results that you will see on the other side of it, right? Well, what happened? She had her open rates went up, which were great. Okay, we can talk about that another time. Her click-through rates went up, which was good because they were clicking through to her sales call form. All right. And within 3 months of us rolling out this new email focus and fun values led email campaign, she almost doubled her revenue and she didn't need to come up with new offers. She didn't have to go like find 100 people to add to her list. She didn't have to take out ads on Facebook or LinkedIn. She didn't need to do cold outreach. This is the power of working with somebody who's so passionate about getting the messaging right in your business.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I love what I'm hearing because I hear talking about the value, which everyone that I work with here in like OBM University, that's usually the conversations we're having of this is who I want to help. This is what I want to be doing. This is how I know I can be making a difference. And then having fun with it,
Yeah.
right? Because I do think that's the other part of it. If we're going to spend this time putting something in someone's inbox, it should be fun for both of us. Like add a
Well,
little.
Leah, might I add, I didn't name the business Joyful Business Revolution to be doing non joyful shit.
Exactly. That's what I love about you, Shannon.
We have a mantra here. If it ain't joyful, we ain't doing that shit.
I love that. I'm gonna borrow that one. Well,
You, yes.
what speaking of joy, if this is what's the cadence that you think people should be focusing on? Because I think that it can be overwhelming to feel like we always have to be posting. Or not posting, but emailing or having the perfect nurture and all that stuff. How often do you think people should be landing in someone's inbox?
Once a week and one LinkedIn post a week with
Okay.
this caveat. Okay. The caveat is the messaging is good and it's memorable.
Hmm.
That's the caveat, right? If it's just some random generated thing or there's no story element to it and it evokes no emotion and it's not memorable, it doesn't matter. You could do that 7 times a day. And we've seen people do that and burn out their businesses. I've watched it. My colleagues, right, who had like $1 million years and then all of a sudden, gone. And it was
Hmm.
sad to watch. I'm not like making light of that, right? But you need to say something that makes you unforgettable. And I'm not putting you up here on a pedestal and like saying, oh my God, it's going to be so hard. We got to go into the stories that make you human because humans hire humans at the end of the day, right?
Hmm.
Hire humans. And I know because I work both with you and Ashley, and I've worked, been on this call, this live stream before in your community. Your people are human too. We all are humans doing human business, and we're interested in keeping the human aspect because that's actually like our greatest asset,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah. I was talking to someone earlier who's they were saying like their one asset was curiosity, right? And I think as OBMs, that's something that we can be sharing. That's a huge value, right? Like being curious about that person's business and putting that in there. Um, that's a whole other tangent. But What are some of the other like myths that you think people have about email marketing that's holding them back?
Okay, this is one that's going to rock a boat.
Go for it.
The prowess boat is about to get rocked. You do not have a lead problem. You have a relationship problem, right? And I say this with so much heart. And I say this because it is bucking get more leads. You need more leads, more people for your workshop, more people for your email list, more people for. No. If you actually double down on some messaging and built relationships, deeper relationships with just a tenth of the people already in your world, you would have more clients than you know what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
But we all love to gather, right? Collect and gather, collect and gather. New lead magnet, new workshop, new whatever, more LinkedIn, more. The thing that this really lies on, this premise, is that different is better. Not more is better, but different is better. So that's two things in one. You don't have a lead problem, you have a relationship problem. Okay. And part of that relationship problem, by the way, for OBM specifically, all right, is you're not talking about the nuanced things that you do that can actually help us in our business. All right. We're not going to connect those dots. So you got to help us. All right. But then different is better, not more. Right. But different. And by the way, every email I write for email first because it's my love language. So I write a Monday email. And that email becomes my LinkedIn post with very little tweaks, right? And then that's my cadence and that's my flow. And that should be refreshing to everyone here, writing one thing a week to do the job for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Any
So
other, go ahead. Any other myths that you think that people get stuck on?
people don't want to hear from me. I don't want to
Yep.
bother people in their inboxes. I don't want to feel salesy. I mean, this is all stuff I hear all day long, right?
Yes.
I hate email, so why should I send them? Well, the
Uh-huh.
main reason you should send email is because someone trusted you enough to give their email address to you because they wanted to hear from you. It's your responsibility, right? It's your responsibility. They also have permission to leave if they don't want it anymore. This is why I love email, Leah, because it's permission-based marketing, right? At any time, Leah, you can say, I'm done with this, Shannon. I'm unsubscribing. Get off the list.
I think that right there is when I have to make the clips of this later, like this is what I'm gonna say because I think this is the one that gets stuck in people's head. They think they're bothering them, but that is such a great way to look at it, is they gave you permission to be there.
And they also have permission to leave,
Yeah.
right? At
Wow.
any time. So I have to work a lot with this on people. We'll call it mindset, whatever we want to call it. But I think when we do remember that they asked to be there. Now, this is assuming you didn't buy a list or add some randos to it. Like they literally said they want to hear from you, right? And then they also have the opportunity to come off the list. And so I will even make the case, this is why I send 2 emails a week, personally, because some people want to hear twice. Some people don't hear twice because the way we've segmented it, right? Some people, if they get tired of it, they can unsubscribe. I'm not attached to if I'm bothering someone. I'm in business. My job is to serve and sell. That is my job.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. And I think we've had some comments in here about going to spam or feeling like your email is going to be sent to spam. And this is a great way to look at that. I mean, because as OBMs, we know what we can do to make sure that all the automation side of it isn't good, right? We can do that prevention. But the
Yeah.
other side, if that person makes that choice that they're no longer interested, that's on them.
Yeah. Does the OBM help with the email deliverability? Because it is a concern.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are. Okay, good. Some of them maybe, right, if they have that. But it is a concern. But here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I'm an adult. Okay, Here's a premise for everyone, a myth. Only give them one call to action. No. We're all adults and we can think for ourselves. You will get emails from me that say, hey, are you interested in here? I'm speaking in New York City here. Or, hey, are you interested in here? I'm holding a workshop at the end of the month. Or, hey, my friend is doing this. Like, I want to be of so much value, right? That people are like, holy cow, even if it's not what Shannon's doing, she can connect you with her network on some other things. So I would say that would be a myth, right? And the deliverability thing, it changes all the time. So I'm glad there's people way smarter than me on the tech side to figure that shit out, because I don't do that in my brand. I'm the strategist and the messaging person. I have somebody looking at email deliverability.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Oh, I see a comment here I want to talk about. Amy. Hi, Amy. So nice to meet you. Are 10 tips kind of emails bad? All right, here's my new rule for everyone. If it can be Googled, it's not good. Okay, so Amy, the answer is, I hate to say bad, but I'd say it's not effective. All right, it's not effective. What would be effective, Amy, listen carefully, and I'd love to help you outline this. We take those 10 tips that you have in your mind because it's your expertise, and we pair each one with a story, and we build that emotion because people buy with emotions and humans buy from humans. And now we've got 10 weeks of email content right there. That is so much more better than, 10 tips to do whatever.
I think that goes back to the value, right? Instead of giving something like that snackable, like you're giving them it's like the nutrition, right? Instead of just this like fast, because you can do it, giving them the things that have that story, you're attached to it, you show that you value that outcome that customer has. Because one thing I love that you talk about is the emotion behind it, which
Yeah.
we know that needs to be there in a marketing, but I think for OBMs, that's what we really want to step into. We want to show how much we care. And that's such a great way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. There was something you just said. Give me a minute. My brain went off to another side.
That's mine every day.
Well, good. I'm in good company then. If you're watching the replay or here, if your brain goes off to the other side, let us know. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what it was, but I'll come back. It'll come back, or I'll drop it in the comments at some point.
No worries. We can always come back to it. What other things when it comes to, because my brain goes, actually, I just had this conversation today. There is I'm following up so you can do outreach two ways, right? You can do the nurture, they're getting it. And then you can do the constant, I'm popping in their inbox.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend both strategies, or do you feel like that makes it too crowded? Just let them make those choices on their own with the nurture.
This is why email is my love language right here. So I'm glad you're asking this. We do things differently here at Joyful Business Revolution. I know that's why we have the business we have and the relationships we have. It requires a little more time because it's the human touch. So if anyone came into one of our lead magnets, I have 9, by the way, talk about choice. You can go to my website and look at which one you want. I don't care. Pick one that's going to serve you, right? All right. So they come in through a lead magnet. Yes, they're going to get that little 4-part nurture sequence that introduces the community, introduces me and Amy. Amy works in my brand with me. That introduces our values and our mission and what we're here to do. Like this is who we are and what we're about, and we're so glad you're here, right? But what people don't realize, a lot of marketers are not talking about, and it's because they're just not doing it, is the step that we take in between the download and the nurture sequence. All right. So this is what it looks like on the back end. You'll probably love this, Leah, as an automations person. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You opt into a thing. You get the email that says, hey, thanks for grabbing the 65 story marketing ideas. Right. And then Amy, who really is on the sales side of things, gets the duplicate email to her inbox. Okay, now what's this do? It puts on Amy's radar everyone who's coming through, and she starts responding to them from her email account, right? Hey, I saw you downloaded this. What are you hoping that you're going to get from this? Or what's your biggest problem? This is how we convert people, one, into raving, I'll call them raving joyful fans, because we're humans and we're paying attention, we're having conversations with them. But also the ones who are ready, we shorten that buying cycle really fast, right? And so where it gets a little hairy, Leah, is I was speaking, right? A 5-city speaking tour. I went boom with 700, boom with 400. Well, they're all downloading the thing. So what's happening in Amy's inbox? 700.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, okay, I think I have to now set up smart mailboxes, take care of all this email. But listen, these are the little things of why I love email as my love language, because you're opting in and I'm going to have a conversation with you, or Amy's going to have a conversation with you. You can't, like, if people are just scrolling through your LinkedIn or your Facebook or your Instagram, you don't know who's scrolling. You don't know who's interested, right? And this is why I get so excited, because there's these strategies we can do on this back end of email that really help people elevate those relationships from the beginning.
Yes. And again, I go back to the OBM brain where we want to be invited into the conversation. And that's just such a way with automation that we can have that trigger for ourselves if they answered that personal one. But like you said, just going from the downloading the lead magnet, that is our clue that we were invited into that conversation. We can take the next step. Um,
Absolutely.
and again, I'm talking a lot of my own brain here, is that I don't like to bother. I get that in, like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to bombard them. But you're right, watching those behaviors, because that's the human part of all this, is that invitation is actually there and we get to step into it.
I want to ask you a question. I'm wondering if you would be willing to talk about it.
Go for it.
So, and I only say this because Ashley has done like several social media shout outs. So I feel like it's not a secret, right? So you and Ashley brought me in to work on some sequences, the messaging of one of your past workshops. And one of the things that Ashley said in her testimonial back to me is, for the first time in a while, we really got the people who were like qualified, perfect fit OBMs enrolled into the program. There wasn't a lot of like having to sell or having to like, are they for real? So what was that like for you and your team to have that messaging in place that was doing part of that heavy lifting, right? Especially during like a launch week or a workshop week.
Yeah. And the thing that comes to mind with that is that the OBMs that get, like you're saying, they hit the ground running. That's usually what we're looking for, is the people that we can really serve efficiently, quickly, they're committed. Because we don't want to, this, like what we have in OBMU is, we know it's not for everybody. We don't want to, have people that it's really not a good fit. And so what we found in working with you, Shannon, was you got us to that part of talking about that emotion, and who we put more into those of our true selves. I think the stuff that
Yes.
we're like, is it okay to talk about this? It was
Yeah.
that. I think once we infuse sort of the, we're here to help the whole person, we talked more about the holistic, we talked more about the fears, because we know that's a big part of the mindset, is that OBMs like to overthink things, right? We're calculated and we have our spreadsheet. So when we infuse a lot more of that in there is when we attracted the right people, is the way I would say it.
Yes, good. So we got to the human elements of fear, who we want to be working with, what your values were here at OBM
Mhm.
University, that you're not for everyone, right? And then all of a sudden, the right people came, the right people
Mhm.
stayed, the right people enrolled, right? And so this is what I do, and it's why I love the work of messaging, because I often say there are a million marketing strategies, platforms, tactics, to whatever we want to call them. But if your messaging isn't good, meaning it's not doing the job for you, or it's not clear, it's not concise, it's not story driven, it's not emotional, right? It doesn't evoke an emotion. It doesn't matter what marketing you choose.
Mhm.
We got to get the
Yeah.
messaging. Right.
Yeah. And I'm curious for the OBMs that are here with us live today, how many of you are like you want to be putting that into your email and you're like, ooh, should I be sharing all of this? Throw that in the chat if you guys have any questions or comments on that. But I know that is something that just in my pre-prowess OBM life that I would always debate. I'd go back and forth of how much the real me am I going to share.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think you're right. It then attracts the right people, the right customers.
Right. And, I also just want to say, because I want to keep it very real, there are parts of ourselves that sometimes we're not comfortable sharing. And you don't have to. I think this is where the whole vulnerability thing got like blown out of control. And you saw like women weeping on their lives, trying to be vulnerable. And I was like, oh my God. No. Now, have I wept on a live? Yes. Was I doing it for attention? No, I was moved by the story. But, I'll just share the story right here. Many people know, and if you don't, welcome to my world. 6 years ago, my husband transitioned to my wife. And for the first 2 years, I could not talk about it. Like there was no way I could talk about it. My life was upside down. My marriage was, my spouse was upside down. But as soon as I got the clarity, the courage, the confidence, and was enough on the other side, I slowly started reintroducing my spouse. I slowly started talking about what a struggle it was, right? That's one example. Another example, I was diagnosed with ADHD in, I don't know, 2022, I think. And I was like, whoa, this makes sense now. My whole life makes why my brain works like it works. But I didn't have enough clarity yet because I didn't, I thought I was operating like this way. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, you're ADHD. I didn't go tell everyone I was like ADHD. I waited and I took the little medicine that helps a lot, slow it down, right? And I waited until I had something of value to share. And I think that's what I need people to realize. This doesn't mean you're like vomiting your personal life all over places. We're not talking about that. But what are the things that make you human and relatable? Because at the end of the day, that's the kind of people you want to be working with.
Yes, thank you for sharing all of that. And what I love about that is that you're pointing out that like it's not there. The vulnerable is not to be um, what's supposed to be attracting everyone. It's to help you connect with people, right?
Yes.
Corey just in the comments shared that it helps people build trust, right? When they can see who you really are. And I think it's also okay that the people that don't resonate with it, you're getting it out of the way instead of the dance of like, I'm not trying to make everybody happy.
You know what? That's a people pleasing
Hmm. Hmm.
that's never going to be fulfilled on. And two, I can't tell you, we added this, Leah, you're going to laugh at this. In our automation for a sales call, we added a question. Do you believe you have more capacity for joy in your life? If they answer no, we just cancel the call. Like we're not even for them because guess what? Your capacity for joy can grow. But there are just a
So,
group of people who think that they've reached the joy plateau or they're so far down, and I'm not making fun of that. Depression's real. They're not going to do well with a joyful coach like me saying, yes, let's go do that thing.
right, right. Yeah, not to get too woo woo about it, but if they're not resonating even close to that frequency, it's not going to work. And I think with OBM life, it's the same thing that if this person is coming looking for an OBM out of fear or guilt or negativity, and you're like, I only want to take clients that are ready to have fun and have no problem with me being a nomad, well, it's just not going to work. So again,
Yeah.
don't waste time. I like that you cancel the calls because
Are you a nomad?
me, no, but I admire
Oh,
people that are. Yes.
I was like, where are you nomading? Can I come visit?
No, no, I nomad vicariously through friends of mine. I have two teenagers that are like last stages of high school, so I'll be locked in for a while.
Okay, got it.
Yes, yes, dare to dream.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys have any more questions for Shannon, throw those in the chat. Just where can people find you? Where can people work with you, Shannon?
Oh my gosh. First, be a human, connect with me on LinkedIn, and send me a message. By the way, that's what you should always do. All right, so let's practice. Connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message and say, hey, I saw you on the show today. Like, I want to have a human relationship. All right, so that's number one. Number two, joyfulbusinessrevolution.com. If you want to go kind of peruse the free resources, they're really fun. We have 9 of them up. Leah, we just decided, to build a little gallery because people are adults and they can make their own choices.
Love it.
And it's like one of the most liberating things I've ever done in my business. So I will put the resources link in there. And then we have a magnetic messaging workshop coming up on April 28th. It's a 2-hour workshop on Zoom with me, with Amy. We're going to reclaim your voice and we're going to make bold your new baseline. That is my promise for this workshop. You can read more about it at /magnetic messaging WS.
Yeah. And if I'm correct, you like have people working on your workshops, right? Like it is time to get some stuff done.
Oh yeah, this is not like a Shannon chat fest or like I don't even do slideshow. No, no slides. I am adverse to slides. They do not bring me joy. But you will get a workbook and we will have a messaging clinic and you're going to leave with
Mhm.
something new that you can do.
Yes. Yes. I know Ashley, she attended one of yours recently and she loved it. So I highly encourage anyone who wants to work on their email to join that Shannon's workshop. I love it. Anything else you'd like to leave this group with, Shannon?
Joy is an inside job.
Say more about
And
that.
yeah, well, that became the tagline of my book, which came out 2 years ago. I didn't even give it that. The readers, all people just started coming in to my
Love it.
inbox and saying, Joy is an inside job. And I was like, did I write that somewhere? That's really good. It is in here. I forgot I had written it, right? So your joy is your responsibility. I also believe that joy is one of the most radical ways you can take care of yourself today in today's political, crazy climate that we're living in. So go do some joy. And if it ain't joyful, you ain't doing that shit in your business. So we need to get rid of everything that is not joyful and replace it with the joy, because joy first, the money follows. Always. Always in that order. That's what I'm leaving
Yes.
people with today.
I love it. And that's a mic drop moment right there. So thank you so much for being with us again. I'm sure we'll have you back. And everyone, we are also having a masterclass coming up next week. So we won't be doing Prowess Live, but if anyone wants to join to learn more about the role of an online business manager, I will drop that link in the chat. And then we will see everyone back the following week.
Is this
Thank you,
the
everyone.
is this the workshop I wrote copy for? Helped write
Yes,
copy?
it is. Yes, it
All
is.
right.
So if you guys want examples, it's probably in your inbox.
Come on,
Yes.
y'all. Let's go. We got people to reach.
Exactly. We got lives to change, Shannon.
That's it. That's it right there. Adios, y'all.
All right. Bye.